Hi folks, Chris Fowler here, Dos Equis' new pour-by-pour commentator. Hey, a job's a job. Now, onto the pour. Look at it run. The ice-cold, refreshing cerveza rushes toward the 10 fluid ounce line. There's no stopping this crisp and delicious cerveza now. It's at the 11, 11.5, 11.6. Will it reach 12? There it is, 12 fluid ounces. Unbelievable. I'm crying. I'm actually crying right now. Dos Equis, a most interesting beer.
Stop moving.
The fact that someone feels the need to impose their power upon you just because your skin color is different.
To witness a human being lose their life in a manner in which it was done.
Get in the car. Get up and get in the car right. Yeah, even I'm breathing the red. I get up breathing. You just a grown young.
There was a lot of shock that was sent through our nation. A lot of people were hurting.
Just hurt that we live in a day and age where not everybody places the same value on all lives. It's not the same experience for all of us, and
people like George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery who got killed, and you still have people who want to say that it was their fault, and it's frustrating. There's no reason for the killings of the past few months, but even in the years, regardless of your views on anything at all. I don't care, politics, religion, whatever. We have a divided country. You have people who want to point at this is my problem, this is my issue. It doesn't matter what you say or how you say it, somebody has something to say about it and has a reason why you shouldn't be saying that.
When you consider where our society is right now and the polarizing effect that we've seen across different groups, regardless of political affiliation, people are not listening. They're listening to have a rebuttal versus really listening to what the person is saying.
Things like cell phones and all these things that were put around to help us communicate more is actually, I think, kind of hurt us in communications altogether. When you look at somebody and they answer it one way when you're talking to them as opposed to through a text message, you could get two completely different things and the words be exactly the same.
Obviously, I think some people were questioning why. Some people were thinking, what do we do now?
Yeah, that could send you into rage.
And so you saw across the country statements being put out from different departments.
Seeing all the protests that were going on, I immediately thought, like, what is UNT gonna say? Like, is there gonna be a statement? Is there gonna be some action brought up?
I think people are very reactionary and want to immediately jump out and do something, but our response was to take a step back and listen and to ask, how are you? And really listen to our students, listen to our staff.
The thing that I think is difficult about race is that to truly have a conversation about it, you kind of have to push out all of your own personal experiences, especially as a Caucasian male, in a leadership role.
Have those meetings, have hard conversation. It's just listening. Sometimes we talk too much and we don't listen enough. And I've had the opportunities not only with our team, but Conference USA. I thought they did a really awesome thing with every head coach on a Zoom call, along with 10 of our players and our leadership councils, and just getting the opportunity to sit back and hear some of the stories.
I think there's so much that I've learned over the past few months by just listening and having open discussions and talk about things that, I didn't know before.
I've coached at places before where, a kid got a dog sicked on him, when he was not at fault because of the color of his skin. And then the kid gets charged with assault of a peace officer because he's trying to keep the dog from biting him.
My uncle was shot and killed in September 1996 by a police officer. That idea has always stuck with me. My mom and my grandma have always said something about it.
Actually, I was with my cousin and we were going to a football game my senior year, and we got pulled over. And he was very aggressive with us, but at the end of the day, we already knew what was going on. You're looked at differently. Every move you make is being watched. Everything you say is being watched. So a lot of people don't know that you have to handle yourself a certain way because you don't know the outcome or what can happen.
If you truly don't feel or know or see some of the things maybe that haven't happened to you in life, just because you don't see it doesn't mean that it's not happening.
I think it's really hard for them to comprehend and understand because they don't see racism every day.
Go ask the guy from, small town Mississippi. Go ask the guy from small town Louisiana. You ask those guys and they might have a different story.
Me being raised in a small town in Oklahoma, you kind of grew up where things that aren't normal become your norm. You're taught at a young age to this is how you got to react in situations where other kids aren't taught those things. You're kind of raised that way to make sure that you stay out of the spotlight. It's not fair.
But you still have to coexist. The one thing that I've tried to teach my son, and then also try to teach to the young men that are playing for me, the objective is to get home. The objective is to get home safely. Because you owe that to yourself and you owe that to your family.
So long, people of color have been put in a position where it's like, do you hear us and do you see what we're going through? No, we're not making this up. There are really systemic issues that are going on in our country. And if people aren't going to be open to at least hear it and consider it as a possibility, how are we ever going to continue to try to advance it as a society?
The only thing that we can do to stop the cycle of violence and stop the cycle of ignorance is use what God gave us, common sense, some humility, and a little bit of compassion for one another, and be able to talk about it, and address the tough questions. It's racism. If you allow it to be, it can be the elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about it.
There has to be some love within this. There has to be some kind of care to the situation, to the topic.
I think at the heart of it, people just want to know that you see them, you hear them, and that they matter. And that doesn't mean to say that I matter more. That's to say that I matter.
George Floyd! Breonna Taylor! Breonna Taylor!
I just think you have to begin to act on it. Not just see it and kind of turn your head and say, well, I feel bad for you. No. You're right there in the battle with me, trying to make change.
I've got 2 daughters. I want them to grow up in a world where there is no sexism, there's no racism. And it's all of our responsibility to work on that.
This is an exciting day to celebrate the momentum of Mean Green Athletics.
We put together, in those conversations with our student athletes, 15 strategic initiatives. That's the starting place for us to really promote equality, to promote justice. Natasha Oakes has been promoted to Executive Senior Associate AD, has taken on the responsibility of diversity, inclusion, equity.
One of the functions of our diversity, equity, and inclusion site is to bring attention and allow a platform for our student athletes to have a voice. We get so tunnel focused that we only focus on one defining aspect of an individual, then we really lose what we're trying to accomplish by saying that diversity matters. Diversity, equity, and inclusion covers a multitude of things, from able-bodied to disabled individuals to race to religion. A lot of different intersectionality happens. Anyone who comes and visits our website so that they know, well, what's going on at North Texas.
We started a unity campaign with the SAC committee. We have different logos on our uniforms that are going to be put on.
We're gonna have unity days at games. We have messages being read on PA, and these are not political messages. These are purely a human rights message.
There's a lot of people today that are just silent on the matters that are happening right now, and I think that silence is, compliance.
I tried to get as many people registered to vote as I could.
I organized 4 protests in my hometown, and I organized 1 protest here in Denton as well. And on campus, I've also started an organization called Students for Detained Immigrants, and that organization kind of just looks to raise awareness around the whole ICE detention center situation and crisis in America.
And our role as an athletic department is to help them understand how to have dialogue with each other and to be able to be leaders in creating meaningful dialogue and meaningful change that starts in their teams and on this campus, in this community, but that grows a sphere of influence well beyond just what we have here locally.
Sometimes the cards are going to be stacked against you, but you know what? You got to keep on fighting. The road to success is always under construction. The great thing about education, and the one thing that University of North Texas prepared me for, was even though that we all come from different backgrounds, no matter what the circumstances that you are, once you get here, you're going to have an opportunity to get the keys to the car. What you choose to do with that opportunity, it's up to you.
On a summer's day, laughing